presents to you Honest Talk.
Hi folks, today we are again back with one more great and leading personality, Mr. Nikunj Sanghi. Mr. Nikunj Sanghi is the founder and managing director of JS 4-Wheel Motors Private Limited. Mr. Sanghi is also president of Automotive Skills Development and currently serving as director of International Affairs of Federation of Automotive Dealers Associations. Mr. Sanghi is an industry veteran and has been vocal on the issues related to the automobile industry. He is today among the top 10 dealers of Mahindra and Mahindra with 5 3S showrooms and 1 3S facility of Hero Motocorp in Rajasthan. So, let's begin our talk with Mr. Nikunj Sanghi.
So first of all, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us. We are extremely very happy to have you for today's talk.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. It's our pleasure too. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is India ready for electric vehicles? But before I come to this topic, sir, my first question to you, sir, what do you believe how COVID-19 pandemic impacted the automobile industry?
So definitely it has, automobile industry, as you know, for the last 2 years was not doing well in any case. It was going through a very, very tough period. But the industry had not anticipated something like a COVID at all. And I've been in this business for 4 decades now. I have not seen a period of 75 days where the revenue was zero, the retail was zero, businesses were closed down. I don't think even in my wildest dreams I had imagined a situation like this. And I don't think we will be able to recover 100% of the business that we have lost in these last 60 or 75 days to come back to normal figures. But we are happy that we have seen some amount of positive response from the market, both in July and August. And I think that gives us some confidence in terms of how the festival season is going to pan out and how we are going to do business. So we are looking at it very positively, and we are keeping our fingers crossed that some business that we have lost in the last 75 days when the pandemic came in, we might be able to recover at least some portion of it during this festival season.
All right, sir. Sir, my next question to you, sir, what do you believe, what will be the future of automobile industry in India?
So I think long-term outlook of automobile industry in India is extremely positive because India is a country which has got some of the lowest penetration levels in terms of vehicles per 1,000 population, and which is true for every segment, whether it is two-wheelers, cars, commercial vehicles. I think our vehicle penetration levels are the lowest. And because they are the lowest, I see no reason why Indian auto industry is not going to do well in the future. And I think that is the reason why almost every global brand is now looking at India as a prospective market. So short term, yes, we are going through a strain, and I think this strain will continue at least for a year and a half, if not more. And that too, if the vaccine comes in and we are able to fight this pandemic. If we are not able to, if it does extend, then obviously the pain period will go a little longer. But long term, the Indian auto industry is growth story, is a positive story, and I think India will be one of the key markets for global auto industry.
All right, sir. So moving to the topic, of course, which is India ready for electric vehicles? So related to this only, sir, my next question to you is, sir, is India ready to switch from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric vehicles?
So yes and no. So electric is the future. I think not only in India, globally electric is the future. But electric vehicle, or EV as we call it, is not the solution by itself. When you get into something called electric vehicle, then you are talking of a complete change of ecosystem. And unless that ecosystem changes, EVs cannot be pushed into the market. And So it could be charging stations, it could be battery swapping, it could be the replacement time and the business model that you adopt to change batteries, because instead of fuel, battery becomes your fuel, and presently as it stands, it's the most expensive part of an EV, and which will require replacement in 2 years, 3 years. So you will need to prepare for replacement of your batteries today. You can't be thinking about replacement of batteries when the time actually comes. Two, there is this range anxiety. So you can have batteries, so you have a Kona or you have an MG which drives for 300, 400 kilometers on a single charge. But the longer the charge, the heavier is the battery. And the heavier is the battery, the tire wear increases. And the cost of battery also increases. So I think somewhere, unless there are solutions where you don't have to have a very long range battery, so which brings down the cost of your vehicle, but there is convenience in terms of fast charging stations or battery swapping stations, which would make the EV ecosystem a far, far big positive. So when will that happen? I think this COVID will prove to be a little setback, because as the industry stands today, for our EV components, for our batteries, for our entire EV ecosystem, we are very China dependent. And as you know, what's happening between India and China, I don't think that's a very big positive. So this will definitely push EVs a little down as was anticipated.
Indeed, sir. You have covered all the aspects related to it. I think those who are watching this session, of course, they are going to get much thing from this session. Sir, my next question to you, sir, as you have mentioned a very right point, that ecosystem. So, sir, my next question to you is related to this only, sir. What do you believe? How much time will it took for India to develop electric vehicle infrastructure?
So when I talk of an ecosystem, it's not just infrastructure. I think it's also to do with a lot to do with skilling, the manpower required to develop an ecosystem. So from manufacturing to sales to after sales and to servicing. So an EV does not have an IC engine. So EV is only one person moving parts as compared to an IC engine part. So the entire way you do this business is going to change, whether it is manufacturing, selling, or after sales. And you don't have sufficient skilled manpower for this. So I think what we will need to start doing immediately, and which is happening at the government level, which is happening at the OEM level, and which is also happening at the sector skill level, which is the Automotive Skill Development Council in this case, that we have started working on developing an ecosystem where manpower, the existing manpower, could be retrained, upskilled or reskilled to come into the EV ecosystem from the existing IC engine ecosystem. So I think that's another challenge. Finally, of course, when it comes to developing infrastructure, I told you there are two components to developing infrastructure. One is developing charging stations, and which means dependable charging stations. In India, you know that one, electricity is not dependable, and two, the way electricity is used. So you have people using illegal connections, people not doing proper earthing, and which could severely damage your vehicle without the customer even realizing that he should not be doing so. There has to be a three-phase connection, it should be properly earthed. So all those precautions will need to be taken, that discipline will need to come into the ecosystem. So I think it's a difficult road, it's a slow road, but it's a definite road. So I think slowly and steadily we will need to get into the system of not only educating our customers, also having a reliable distribution, electricity distribution system, and then reliable installations in terms of how those stations are going to be used. I think a lot of policy change will also be required, because when EVs come in, then people who are doing charging stations are actually selling electricity, which today is totally the domain of the government. So I think a lot of state governments will need to change their laws in allowing private sector players to start selling electricity. And I guess a long way to go before we are able to develop not just the infrastructure, which is the physical infrastructure, but the entire ethos of running and maintaining EVs.
All right, sir. As we all know that you are in this automobile industry from last around 4 decades, sir. My next question to you, sir: what do you feel? What are the challenges for the electric vehicles market in India?
So I think, like I said, the biggest issue is going to be the batteries, the electric motors and starters, which are very different, and for which we are almost 100% China dependent. So I think before we start developing EVs, we will have to start developing manufacturing capabilities for these 3 essential items, which are batteries, motors and starter systems. In batteries, as you know, the main component or ingredient for the battery today is lithium, and almost 70% of the global lithium supplies are controlled by China. So how do we develop local lithium? How do we develop or we go to an alternate chemistry? So there are a lot of alternate chemistries which are being worked. So there is sodium ion which is being worked on, there is potassium ion, there is also nitrogen ion that is being worked on. So I think either alternate chemistry gets developed, which is India friendly and which is far more sustainable and which can be developed commercially. So on R&D platforms, all these chemistries are available. There is zinc ion, there is sodium ion, there is potassium. All those chemistries are available even today, but they are at an R&D stage. How do you graduate those chemistries to make them commercially viable is, I think, what we need to look at. And I think judging India's technical strength, knowledge strength, I think India should be in a position to develop alternate chemistries. Until those alternate chemistries develop, we will have to see how we source our lithium sources and how do we make India a manufacturing hub, not just for EVs, but also for EV batteries. And a lot of manufacturers, including Maruti, Tatas, Mahindras, are already looking at getting into battery manufacturing. So unless that happens, I think we'll be in a slow lane. But once that happens, there is nothing stopping EVs coming into India.
All right, sir. Sir, my next question to you: what do you believe? What percentage of cars will be electric by year 2030?
Well, a very small percentage. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will disagree with me. So I think the first to get electrified will be 3-wheelers, and which we are already seeing. We are already seeing a lot of e-rickshaws. The second segment which is going to get into electrification are 2-wheelers because they are smaller vehicles, cheaper vehicles, require smaller batteries, and can also be charged in normal 5 ampere battery, which is available domestically. And then will come buses, because city buses, because they have fixed routes, they move around in limited geography, and an ecosystem, developing an ecosystem for city buses is probably much easier than developing an ecosystem for private vehicles. And finally, it's going to be cars, but I think the progression will be in this order: 3-wheelers, 2-wheelers, commercial buses, and finally cars. And so the percentage, the government says 30%, but I definitely have my reservations about India getting into 30% of all new EVs by 2030. I think that's a challenging target.
All right, sir. Sir, my next question to you: sir, what are the advantages and disadvantages of electric vehicles over the internal combustion vehicles?
So I think as on date, electric vehicles, including the batteries, are more expensive than IC engine vehicles. So I think the first thing that will need to come in is price parity. So as on date, EVs are little expensive and therefore not affordable by everybody. If they are affordable, then the battery technology that is being used is the normal lead battery technology, where the battery life is extremely poor and the range is extremely small. So if you want range and if you want life, then you will need to change from lead acid batteries to lithium ion batteries, and lithium ion batteries is a challenge. So one is the price parity that I'm talking about. The other advantage which EVs definitely have is towards environment, because they are the most environmental friendly, and if pollution needs to be controlled, if we need to reduce our carbon footprint, then I think EVs is the solution. But just EVs is not the solution. I think what we will then also need to look at is the source of our power. In India today, we are 70% of our power comes from thermal sources, and which is coal-fired boilers. And the coal that which we use is what we call coke, which is probably the poorest quality of coal. So the emission of thermal power stations is extremely, extremely high. So are we actually contributing to a thermal footprint? So while on a road or in a city, you could be doing it. But I think overall, if you look at it as a country, then unless our source of power is cleaner, we will not probably be achieving our goal of reducing the positive in India is that renewable energy is doing wonders. So the generation of electricity by solar cells, today the growth in India is probably the highest compared to anywhere in the world. And India fortunately has the abundance of sunlight, which is the main input which is required for solar power generation. And if India is able to develop solar power resources at the rate at which India is doing, then probably our source of power will also be cleaner. And then switching over to EVs becomes a much better proposition. And finally, of course, like everybody knows that the hydrocarbon resources are limited, and there will be a time where hydrocarbon will not be available. So the earlier we switch to renewable energy, the earlier we switch to EVs, the better it is going to be for the country. And finally, with very low moving parts, I think the cost of maintaining an EV is far, far lower than cost of maintaining an IC. The negatives, of course, are what happens to employment, because if 99% parts which are required for an automobile are not required in EV, what happens to all the manufacturing industry? What happens to all the service industry which is looking after the entire IC ecosystem? So I think somewhere India will need to look at what happens to jobs and how do they create jobs which will probably not be there 10 years from now when we switch and when the major shift comes from IC engines to EVs. So I think those are the challenges, those are the questions which are being debated in the industry, both at the private sector and at the government level. But since EVs is almost definite, I'm sure we will come out with solutions to look after all these challenges.
All right, sir. Sir, my next question to you, what do you feel, what are the biggest challenges for mass adoption of electric vehicles in India?
I think we've discussed this already. So I think it's one, the infrastructure. So whether it is charging stations or battery swapping stations, I think those are two very big challenges that happen. And finally, of course, availability of the present chemistry, which is the lithium ion battery, the availability and the cost. Are we going to manufacture them in India? If we are going to manufacture, where do we get our lithium? And if 70% of the lithium is controlled by one single country, is it sensible to be going and depending on a country with which we don't have very positive diplomatic relations, and we have always had border disputes with them? So I think those are the things, those are challenges that we will need to consider when we are looking at switching over to mass adoption of EV as a source of mobility in the country.
All right, sir. Sir, I don't want to take you much time. So, moving to my last question of this session. The question is, sir, what do you believe? How much charging infrastructure do electric vehicles need?
So, how many fuel stations do you have? I think you will require as many fuel stations as many charging stations as you have fuel stations, because only then the range anxiety will go. And only then can you expect mass adoption of electric vehicles.
All right, sir. It was really a very great answer from your side, and also it was a great interaction and a healthy discussion with you over the topic. Thank you so much, sir, for joining and shared your thoughts. It was really our pleasure to hear from you.
Thank you for having me. I am honored to be a part of your guest
Thank you so
list.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.